The safeties have the potential to make some noise this season.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome in to this Thursday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my fifth year covering the University of Louisville, third year hosting this show, and I want to take the time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Locked On Louisville, free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week. Your team every day. This is the final position preview of the 9-part series that we've conducted throughout the month of July. Today, we are focusing on the safeties, and this group has the potential to make some noise this upcoming season. There are some returning pieces that I'm excited to see how they have developed. Also, some incoming transfers that will factor into the equation at the back end of the secondary. We'll discuss the main storyline, sort of like with the cornerbacks. There's a lot to prove after last season. We'll discuss the returning production versus the incoming transfers and new players. And then to conclude the show, we will predict what we feel like the depth chart is going to look like for week one for the Louisville Cardinals. So, man, it's already the final position preview. Thank you all for tuning into the duration of this long series through this month, but we aren't finished yet, focusing on the safeties now. And it's sort of the same storyline and questions about the safety spot as it is the cornerbacks group as well. As like, can this secondary as a whole silence the doubts? Because last year, I mean, we talked about the statistics, right? 100th ranked passing defense overall. Now, it is worth noting and fair to recognize that the secondary was better the back half of the season, but still some to be desired. Like this is a spot that, I mean, will get criticism because of, I mean, they're lumped in with the secondary, but I didn't really feel like the safety spot was all that bad last year. Now, you do lose 3 players from that group. One of them left mid-season, Devin Neal. He is now at Virginia. I don't really think that he is all that, key of a loss for the Cardinals secondary, but the 2 others are key losses. MJ Griffin, a mainstay in the back end of the defense, was really, really good in his Cardinals career. He had that ACL surgery in 2023, but bounced back to have a respectable 2024. So not having him out as that high safety is something that's going to sting. Also, the Tennessee transfer, Tamarian McDonald, last year was really, really good at that strong safety spot, sort of that hybrid, playing all over the field, just made plays, and really going to miss what he brought to the table for this defense. So you've got 3 players leaving or that have left. You've got 3 coming back, and you have 4 players coming in. So we'll start out with the returning players, and then we will transition to discussing about the incoming guys. The main returning player that's drawing the most discussion is D'Angelo Hutchinson. And last season, he had a breakout year after not really seeing the field in his first 2 seasons, right? He was sort of that first guy, that main guy off the bench for the Cardinals. 52 total tackles, 29 of those solo, 2 for a loss. He also had 3 passes broken up. So 2022, he had 6 tackles, 23, he had 5, and then 2024, he just erupted 452, 6'3", 195 pounds, going to potentially be that penciled in starter at the free safety spot. And, he's still not a polished product, but I liked what I saw from him in 2025. And of course, we have to mention that, how much of this is coaching as well. Like, you want to make sure that the coaching puts these guys in better situations to where there is, an improvement in communication, maximizing, the efficiency of the defense, making sure that it's not taking as much time to relay the plays and where guys are supposed to be. But I like D'Angelo Hutchinson potentially being that high safety this year. I think that really with the returning guys, it's all a matter of, well, how much has this staff developed these guys? Because these are 3 players, 2 for sure, 3 total that you're looking at saying, well, let's see how good this Louisville defensive coaching staff is at developing the guys in this defense. And it starts with a guy like D'Angelo Hutchinson, who veteran player, 6'3", native of St. Petersburg, Florida, going to be probably the go-to guy out of the group of 3 returning. Now, one of the players that I'm excited about the most as a returner is Daeh McCullough. Daeh McCullough he's going to be a redshirt sophomore. In 2023, he didn't record a single tackle as a true freshman at Oklahoma, despite being a pretty good 4-star player. Now, that's nothing to be ashamed about. A true freshman not playing right away at Oklahoma is not unheard of, right? So he transfers to Louisville, a guy that is from Indiana, I think South Bend, if I'm not mistaken, that Brom was a fan of, recruiting out of high school. He ends up bringing a guy that he believes in the skill set. And redshirt freshman season, again, you're playing behind players and only 1 total tackle. Now, heading into his 3rd year of college ball, this is like a huge, huge indication of how well can Louisville develop talent, because it's clear that he's got the tools. It's a matter of, well, can he put it together? It's not always just on the coaching staff, but this is one of those prime examples, and I think that McCulla has the talent. He was mainly in the 2 deep in the spring, so I could see a situation here where Daeh is in a really good spot to be a regular contributor in 2025. So what is going to happen with the top 300 prospect, or the former top 300 prospect, I should say? I think that he made some plays in spring ball. I think that he's a guy that factored into the 2 deep for the most part and could be in line to be in the 2 deep as we get closer and closer to that first week. Now, the 3rd player that is returning is Louisville native Blake Ruffin. Ruffin, 6'3", 210 pounds, really large safety in that defense. The situation with Ruffin is going back to that mantra that the best ability is availability. And Ruffin had some injury issues at Eastern Illinois, right? He was one of the best FCS players. He was a second-team FCS All-American while he was at Eastern Illinois and had a really good season in 23. 2022, he missed the season due to an ACL tear. He also dealt with an injury last season, and he also has been dealing with injuries in spring ball. So I would really like to have Blake Ruffin as sort of a really solid, strong safety option. But again, the best ability is availability. And if he can't stay healthy, well, you're not going to see the field if you're not healthy. So I think Ruffin has, that really solid physical size and aggression that he plays with. And it would just be really discouraging if he just couldn't find the field at Louisville because he couldn't stay healthy. Like, I want him to be healthy because the Cardinals safety room just, again, you need that depth because at the moment I think you've got 6 really decent options. There's one that we talk about, might not even be on campus yet from what the rumors are. So you need as much depth at that spot as you can moving forward. And I would like to see, Hutchinson and McCullough and Ruffin be able to take those next steps in their development respectively, and Ruffin to stay healthy so we can, have a good season for the secondary in 2025. But the returning guys have promise. I'm intrigued to see what happens with the 3 incoming transfers. One of them I think is going to start, but who knows? Other guys could be in the mix as well. We'll discuss what they bring to the table individually when we come back on this Thursday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. But first, Card Nation, I want to take the time to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, whether you're all about baseball under the lights or golf on the green. FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? Because with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. For me, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Every day of the weekend, last weekend, there was a promo for a prop for same game home run parlays. And that's something that, I mean, if you're one of those people that chases home runs, Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Eugenio Suarez have been on fire. So throw them into your next parlays and see what happens. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, all you have to do is open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Card Nation, thanks again for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Locked On Louisville is free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week. Your team every day. Continuing on along in our final of the 9 position previews, discussing this safety group, which I'm excited for. I think that I'm more excited about the safeties than the cornerbacks, and that's not really supposed to be criticism toward the cornerbacks. I think that this safeties room can be pretty solid. Now, it's going to depend on the returning players being able to take a considerable step forward, but also the incoming transfers to also be able to play a solid role. And it starts with one of the projected starters, that is Jojo Evans, 6'1", native of Riviera Beach, Florida, played the past 2 national. He spent the year before that at Kent State and then 2 years at Marshall. So this is his 6th and final year of college football. He had 93 total tackles in 2024. 52 of those solos. He had a forced fumble and 2 interceptions. I would imagine that he's going to be the projected starter at the strong safety spot for me. He was a first-team All-Conference USA safety last year, led the team in with 7 passes broken up and 2 interceptions. 7th in the conference in total tackles, 3rd on the team with 93. And I think most of his contributions are going to come from tackles, being a really good run defender. I think that he's going to have to be a player that is showing me that he can translate the coverage ability to the Power 4. I think it's pretty interesting if you look at an article from Matt McGavick of Louisville Sports Illustrated. He brings up an interesting point. Last season, he was one of 3 of the 95 FBS safeties with at least 750 defensive snaps to have a PFF run defense grade of at least 83, a tackling grade of at least 84.5, and a coverage grade of at least 71. So nice to see the Cardinals add a veteran that's played a ton of college football and has been really, really good at defending the run. So I think Jojo Evans is going to be a player that you're relying upon a ton at that strong safety position to sort of give you that Tamarian McDonald impact of being really good defending the run. Now, I think whatever you can get in coverage, whether it is defending the line of scrimmage, defending tight ends, the running backs coming out of the backfield, I think that he needs to be serviceable in that regard, but still I do believe that he's going to have a pretty solid season. The other transfer that I'm most excited about is Corey Gordon Jr., transfer from Baylor. He had a team lead 3 interceptions in 24, had 34 total tackles in 24, 31 in 23. 3 interceptions in 2024, 6'2", native of Oklahoma City, spent the past 2 seasons with Baylor, so I believe he's going to have 2 seasons of eligibility remaining. But I think truthfully, he had some pretty solid moments in the spring. Another good defender against the run. Going to be something to where, like Jojo Evans, has to prove at the power 4 level that he could be at the very least serviceable or even good in coverage. I think that he's more of a free safety option versus a strong safety guy because of the ball skills there. Going to be an interesting battle between him and D'Angelo Hutchinson in fall camp at that free safety spot. But I think that Corey Gordon is another player, a guy that played in the Big 12. And I know that defense in the Big 12 gets a pretty bad rap. But, hey, I mean, a guy that's coming from Power 4, you look for him to be able to understand the level of play that you are going up against. So I'm excited for Corey Gordon Jr. One of the guys that I don't know what to think, and I know that he is a player that had a breakout season in 2024, is Joseph Jefferson II, 6-foot native of Indianapolis, another pocket of the country that Jeff Brom loves to recruit, comes from Purdue, had 31 tackles in 2024, 22 of those solo. But there are rumors circulating right now that he might not officially be on campus, which, if that's the case, as of July 24th, you really don't like to hear that. I mean, because, he's going to be in a rough spot to produce because other guys are already on campus. They're in the system. They participated in the spring. Now, I don't know how valid these rumors are. If they're not true, then just disregard. But if they are true, it depends on, why is he not on campus yet? Is it an academic thing? Is it injury? Is it personal? I don't know. So we're going to try not to speculate too much. But if he's not on campus, that just makes those concerns a little bit louder because, yes, he had a good season in 2024, but this is his 4th year of college, and last year was his really only year that he had substantial production. So he needs more experience. Going to be something to where maybe he's a guy that slides into that outside linebacker spot, potential depth piece at the star position that is going to be headlined by Antonio Watts and maybe Trent Carter or Caleb Perry. We'll see. But man, this is an interesting situation. So we're trying to focus on whether or not he is going to be on campus when that's, when that timetable is, when he's set to arrive and all that good stuff. So if he makes it to campus soon, that's great. But something that, hey, look, at the safety spot, you don't have a ton of overall depth. So we'll see how that works out. The Cardinals are bringing in a high school prospect, Micah Rice, ranked as the 763rd best player in the country in the 2025 recruiting class. Originally from Cincinnati, played for Archbishop Moeller, one of the better historical programs in that area. 54 tackles in 2023, 1.5 sacks, 7 PBUs, and 3 interceptions. He transferred to North Oldham halfway through his senior season. A player that I'm one of the players that I'm more excited about in the 2025 class, 6'2", 185 pounds. With any true freshman, you have to wonder, is this a potential redshirt season, or could you see him play special teams? I think it's all going to depend on how the health and availability of the safeties room looks. 2 players in particular, can Blake Ruffin get and stay healthy? If that's able to happen, then awesome to hear, because you'll have him available. And also, what's the availability of Joseph Jefferson II? So I think he has the versatility to play either safety spot. More so, honestly, maybe more of a free safety at this point, but I think he can play either one depending on what is needed with the Cardinals' defensive backfield. But it really just depends. I think moving forward, I think that the starters are defined. I think we know who the starters are. But who is going to be filling out that 2 deep for the Cardinals is the other question, or the main question. Is the main question that we have to focus on. And we will predict the depth chart and more when we come back on this Thursday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Card Nation, of course, this is the final of the 9 position previews. And man, it feels like this has been such a long series. And of course, 9 episodes. Appreciate Keith Artov, Vince Lococo, and Grant Mulligan for helping out with various episodes in this series. Maybe it's not conducting the 9 position previews. Maybe the point of this series is all the friends that we made along the way. I'm just messing with you. I appreciate you all tuning in to these and letting me know your thoughts. And I hope that you've learned something with each of these episodes. This is the final episode of the week. We will have tomorrow off, as of course this is a hybrid off-season month. 17 total episodes. There will be 2 episodes at the beginning of next week, a weekly mailbag, and then another episode pertaining to whatever information is relevant before we begin the August content on the 1st on Friday, which we will immediately start with the 5-part top 15 player rankings. So just a heads up there, but we aren't done with the position previews. The final segment, we're predicting the depth chart. I mentioned that I think I know who the safeties are that are starting, but who's going to follow up that 2 deep? I do want to start out this way. I had someone ask me before this episode if I could explain the difference between the free and strong safety position. I think that that's a really good question because it is a perfect segue into discussing the depth chart. This is how I interpret it. You look at that strong safety position, and it kind of is the epitome of the name. Like at the strong safety position, you want your traditionally your physically stronger safeties to be filling that role. The strong safety is going to be a guy that is utilized more defending the run, defending the tight ends, and coverage, those short routes, and as a result, playing closer to the line of scrimmage mostly. Also, it's sort of in the name. You kind of go back to the difference between the middle linebacker and the weak side linebacker, like strong side and weak side. Like strong side refers to the side of the field with the most offensive personnel. Most of the time, it's where the tight end is lining up. So that strong safety is mainly on the side of the field where the most offensive personnel are, where the tight end usually is, mainly close to the line of scrimmage, defending the run, defending the tight end, and defending those short routes, as opposed to the free safety, that high safety that is, mainly used for coverage. This is where traditionally, not always, but traditionally, your faster and more agile, quicker, safeties are playing. They're playing out in the center field, able to play against a variety of different receivers, different coverages, but mainly utilized out in coverage, out in center field. So that's kind of the way that I have always interpreted the difference between the 2 positions. I think that your starting strong safety is going to be Jojo Evans, probably one of the better run defenders on the team. So going to be playing a ton closer to the line of scrimmage. And that's where, defending the tight ends, defending those short routes, where the coverage has to show that he can be serviceable in that regard. So I think that Jojo Evans is going to be that starting strong safety, just like I think D'Angelo Hutchinson, despite not being polished in coverage, I think that he's going to be your starting free safety. So it was pretty obvious to me who the starters were going to be. I think Hutchinson, when he decided to come back, unless Louisville went out and they just got a complete difference maker that was a bona fide starter, that Hutchinson was in line to start at one of these spots, and I think that free safety is the spot. So Evans at the strong safety, Hutchinson at the free safety. I think that Hutchinson has to, of course, ball out in fall camp, because Corey Gordon Jr., I believe, is going to be the guy competing for that spot. And if Corey Gordon is a player that excels in fall camp, he could be in line to potentially be the starter at that free safety spot, that high safety playing out in center field. He could also potentially play strong safety, but I think his future with the Cardinals is going to be more so as that high safety. The backup at strong safety, I believe, is going to be a battle between Daeh McCullough and Blake Ruffin. Both of those guys are really solid tacklers, larger safeties that I think are going to be more physical and going to be able to match up better with opposing tight ends. I'm going to go with Daeh McCullough as the 2. He had most of the work in spring ball in the 2 deep. Blake Ruffin at the moment dealing with some injuries, of course, and having some trouble staying healthy. And if he's able to stay healthy, then this becomes so much more interesting of a position battle. But even then, like, I believe in the skill set. I believe in the development. I think that Daeh McCullough, who made some solid plays in spring practice and the offseason, I think that he's going to be in line to be that number 2. Now, that would leave Ruffin for number 3. And if Ruffin is healthy and it's a back and forth battle in fall camp, I could see a situation where it's like Daeh or Blake for that 2 spot at strong safety. And at that point, of course, I mentioned it with the cornerbacks, those first 3 games are essentially going to be tryouts for the secondary as a whole. Is like, who's going to step up, who's going to rise to the occasion and solidify themselves moving into ACC play against Pittsburgh in late September. If, assuming that he does arrive at Louisville, I think that Joseph Jefferson is that 3rd string guy. Probably at free safety would be my thought. And maybe Micah Rice slides in. I think Micah Rice is going to be the 4th string wherever. I think wherever they would need him potentially is where he's going to slide in and play. So if it is a situation where Jefferson doesn't end up at Louisville, well, boom, you got Micah Rice. If Blake Ruffin can't stay healthy, boom, you got Micah Rice. If both of those happen, then I don't know. It just depends on where you need him. So I have some really encouraging feelings about the potential of this room. And they have the potential to make some noise. It's just going to be about, well, the returning guys, how much have they developed? The incoming transfers, how ready are they to produce? And also, how much did the coaching staff learn from last season? What do we tweak? What do we change? What becomes more efficient? What becomes more effective? How do we put our players in the best positions to succeed? A lot of questions. We're going to find out when this season gets kicked off in just over 1 month, y'all. It is getting closer and closer, painfully slow, it feels like at the moment, but still, it's already July 24th. That is going to wrap up this Thursday edition and this week's shows of the Locked On Louisville podcast. We'll be back early next week. Everyone have a great day, great weekend. We'll see you back coming up soon. Go Cards.